Welcome in, guys. Welcome. We are back. Didn't take long. I just needed a day. Um, you know, it was, I burned myself out per usual, but I've been thinking, of course, during that day that I had off, so to speak. And we did record the podcast. So if anyone didn't already hear it, Alexis and I did drop that podcast. You can check that out on the channel or on all podcast platforms for Downtown Rams. Um, so there's that, of course. But hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's enjoying the Super Bowl and what comes after it. As you can see, I love the Super Bowl logo so much. I took the little thing off. My dad got like this cake that had the Super Bowl logo on it. Like, I'll get out of the shot. See, pretty cool. That'll remain there because the Rams may not take that Super Bowl logo and keep it at SoFi Stadium as like a souvenir statue, but I will because I love it. It's my favorite logo, and it's baller, and I love it. But let's talk, because here's the thing. As amazing as it is to win the Super Bowl, it is the end of the season. We will not see football until August, when we'll see preseason. And of course, we'll be covering it all. We'll be covering the NFL draft. We'll be covering mini camp, training camp, what have you. The quality of content is about to go through the roof because I am getting that laptop in probably sometime next month. So, I mean, you guys are going to be flooded with content. But I was thinking about it today, and I talked to my buddy Nick Hamilton of Nightcast Media, and we were just talking about off-season stuff because he had a chance to hold the Lombardi. He had a chance to cover the team, of course, and he was there, and so we talked about off-season stuff on the phone. And one of the big things that he pointed out, and I really appreciated him doing this because it makes a lot of sense. Everyone read so much into Tampa Bay when they won the Super Bowl 31-9 against a team that, I mean, let's be real here, they were outmatched. Offensive line was banged up. You know the whole drill. But, I feel like when he was breaking it down, it made a lot of sense. Tampa won, and that was great, but you can't be complacent. You can't just be like, well, that was good enough. That was good enough, No, because here's the thing. I think what it comes down to with Tampa is it was good enough for that season. They were the 5th seed. They had to win those games on the road. They got to play at home. They won the Super Bowl. But what I will say is this, okay? I'll say this. Tampa had to go out and get those guys. So Tampa had to go out, and they had to go and bring those guys back. So when they brought those guys back, this is how it worked. They didn't repeat. They didn't even get back to the Super Bowl. They didn't even get back to the NFC title game. They lost in the divisional round. And so that leads me to believe maybe you can still do it by running back the team. It's happened before. There are repeats. But I will say this. Nick said something that I very much agree with. The Rams are more likely to get back to the Super Bowl by not running it back, going out and not being afraid to replace the players that may have been the weaker links, and defend this title the right way, because Tampa, they ran everything back with the same cast and wasn't good enough. Other teams get better. That's not just what was good enough last year doesn't mean it was good enough this year. It's not good enough this year. So, I think Super Bowl 57, we're going to see Rams and Broncos as well, the real GOAT, if contingency here. And this is entirely the thing. If Aaron Rodgers goes there with Davante Adams, the Broncos will be in the Super Bowl. If not, it's going to be Rams-Bills. I think it's going to be Josh Allen versus Matthew Stafford. And what I'll say is this. With this Rams team, they were good enough to win this year. They were the best team all year. Other teams are going to improve. And we'll go down the line. We can go down the line if you want. We don't have to. But we already know the Ravens are going to get healthier. We know the Bills, they have that taste. They're getting closer. We know that in the NFC, it's going to be easier for the Rams because, a lot of uncertainty with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and Buccaneers, but there's always one team that just shoots out and you don't expect them, you don't see them coming, Like, that's a thing. And so, for me, I'm looking at that and thinking, well, the Rams have a really good road in the NFC. But what about the AFC that has all these quarterbacks, that has all these very good teams? And I'll say this right now, and I'm seeing a lot of it already. You guys kind of beat me into the punch. I think the Rams need to go out, and obviously if they can get Odell and Vaughn back, 100% do that. And I think they will get Odell back. I would put money down that Odell is 100% going to be a Ram. No doubt. No worries. But I will say this. I will say this. Von Miller is not a guarantee. And I've seen people saying, he'll be back. Not a guarantee. I'd love him to come back, but it's not a guarantee. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the Broncos. But here's the thing. Those guys are not the issue. The Rams need to address something that is going to be a problem if they don't fix it. And that is the interior offensive line. You have Brian Allen, who is a Pro Bowl alternate. He is going to be a free agent. You have Austin Corbett, who's a free agent. David Edwards, I don't think played all that well. And they couldn't run the ball. It put a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford, who lost Odell and didn't have Robert Woods or Tyler Higbee or Kendall Blanton, or the list goes on, Jacob Harris, Tutu Atwell, Johnny Munt. You can name them all. Didn't have those players. So it made it incredibly difficult, not only in the moment for those guys, like a Ben Skoranek, to have to come through, but it made it incredibly difficult because they had no run game. So I'll say this. For the 49ers superfan that's saying no cap space, LMAO. They have plenty of cap space, a pathway to it, and I think they're going to be over $60 million in free cap. Here's why I say this. I think Whitworth retires very soon. I don't think he's going to retire right away, but I think he's going to retire. When he retires, I think they'll bring back Noteboom to be the left tackle. I think Edwards is temporarily the starting left guard. Brian Allen, I don't know if he'll be back. We'll see. Team might want to pay him. And I'll just say this. Right now. The Rams don't have to bring back Brian Allen. I appreciate his contributions to this team, but you have to realize you can't live in the moment forever. And you have to realize if there's a better option out there for the same or a little bit more money, you have to consider it. And what do I mean by this? Ryan Jensen. He's older? Sure, he's 31. But do you think he's going back to Tampa Bay after Tom Brady left? I don't. Ryan Jensen gives you that mean streak. He can help you in the run game. Matt Paradis is also in this free agency. What if the Rams went out of their way and got Jason Kelce? Can you imagine that? If they got Jason Kelce for like a 1-year deal. Here's another thing that's not being thought of. Okay? The Rams are going to basically attract attention from a lot of players. Now, they're going to attract attention from teams. You know what I mean? They're going to attract attention from teams. If you remember the Ravens team that won the Super Bowl, Donnell Ellerbe, all those guys getting plucked from the Ravens, they were all signed elsewhere, right? That's what happens. So when your free agents are free agents and you win the Super Bowl, everybody saw your players play on the grandest stage of them all. So now they have attracted attention. But instead of looking in a way of who you're going to lose and how teams are going to poach you, let's look at it in a way of how these players that aren't a part of this culture, that are watching from afar, that have these conversations with these players that are on this team, are going to be a part. They're going to want to be a part of a winning culture. They're going to want to be a part of Sean McVay. If this guy's the next Bill Belichick, they're going to want to be there. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They know Matthew Stafford. He goes there 1 year and he wins the Super Bowl. They want to be there. The Rams are the hot commodity right now. So do you think a guy like Ryan Jensen, you really think he wouldn't take less money to go with the Rams? Or Jason Kelce to go ring chasing? Because that's what veterans do. Not all veterans, but a lot of veterans will ring chase at the end of their career. Jason Kelce could be done. He could retire. Who knows? But can you imagine getting Jason Kelce for a year? That'd be pretty nice. All I'm saying is this. There's no way Les Snead, Sean McVay, and so forth watched Matthew Stafford all year hobbling off the field. Pretty much every game he had one of those moments where he was hobbling off the field. There's no way they watched that and said, yeah, this is conducive to winning football. No. They are going to look at this and they're going to say, look, Brian Allen's good, okay? David Edwards is pretty solid. But we cannot risk any bit of anything to ruin what we have with Matthew Stafford. Because he has a chance to retire as the greatest quarterback in Rams history, as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and right now he's the most clutch quarterback in the NFL now that Tom Brady's gone. You can challenge me on that, but I would have the stats to back that up. Now, that's the thing. That's why for me, as you guys know, I've been saying it for a while, I'm thinking, Darius Williams, not really playing up to par. Before the season started, I was thinking, how do the Rams bring Darius Williams back? He might be affordable. You might be able to bring him back. Who knows if he'll be back or not. But I'll say this, veterans are the pathway here. These veterans will take less money. You want to tell me Stephon Gilmore is going to re-up with the Carolina Panthers? Where are the Carolina Panthers going? The defense looks good, no doubt. They just hired Ben McAdoo as their OC. They just had a season in which I thought that they would go 11-6, and they didn't even make the playoffs. And they had every opportunity. They didn't make the playoffs. They started off 4-0, and then they lost a bunch of games. I don't know how you stay there. Gilmore was not traded for by the Rams, but they have a chance to get him, and it'll be 1 or 2 year deal. To me, Gilmore makes so much sense because now you can take a guy in the top 3 guys that are going to be available in free agency. You have Stephon Gilmore, you have J.C. Jackson, you have Carlton Davis. I think Carlton Davis is going to be tagged by the Bucs, but then it leaves J.C. Jackson. The Patriots typically don't spend a ton on anybody in free agency. That it was a kind of an unprecedented free agency last year, and going out and getting Judon and all those guys. But I don't think that they're going to bring J.C. Jackson back for that money, and I think it's going to be expensive. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the Rams try to do something with him. I can't see it personally, but it would be nice to have J.C. Jackson for sure. But think about this. Gilmore's 31 years old, okay? J.C. Jackson is a young corner. He's going to be more expensive. Gilmore could sign on for less money to chase a ring before, that's the thing, because now it's not just playing for a Super Bowl team. It's not just playing for Sean McVay. You're playing in a defense with Aaron Donald, who's going to make your life easier, potentially Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. The way Ernest Jones played as a rookie in the Super Bowl is just very exciting for the future. And then you're playing across Jalen Ramsey. Your job is going to be a lot easier than where you were. And that's the thing. So I look at that. I think Charvarius Ward-Rob, I think, is going to be brought back by the Chiefs, personally. But that's a good one. You mentioned him. He had a pretty solid year. Here's another one, DJ Reed. I think DJ Reed would be an interesting option here. DJ Reed, I think, was a top 10 guy, according to PFF. And he was originally with the 49ers, and he actually ended up going to Seattle and carved out a pretty good year, had over 1,000 snaps. DJ Reed is a guy that I'm looking at as well to maybe take over for Darius Williams. If you want more size on the outside, DJ Reed's not your guy. He's the same size as Darius Williams. But I really like the idea, and I can't get over it, of going out and getting 2 veterans. And on both sides of the ball, you get 1 veteran in Gilmore who can be alongside Ramsey. I love that pairing. I think that's the duo we need to see, because this is what happens. You sign Gilmore for 2 years, maybe $10 million each year. Obviously, the cap hit is not going to be $10 million each year. The Rams will, they'll structure in a way that doesn't kill their cap. So say they get Gilmore for 2 years, right? And they keep it around $10 million each year. So it's like 2 years, $20 million, whatever. Here's the thing. If they do that, now you have guys like David Long, 2019 draft pick that you don't have to worry about right now, made some significant strides, can be your nickel. You have guys like Dante Dion who are going to be very cheap. He can be your backup, as far as the nickel goes. And then Robert Rochelle, who was originally a receiver, who transferred to cornerback. He's still learning the position at the NFL level. It took him a little bit to learn the actual position. He's shown ball hawking skills in the past. He shows potential, and you love that size and the speed combination. But he's the future, and to me, I don't know if he's ready for this upcoming season. So if I were the Rams, I would say this right now. If Gilmore wants to come to LA, maybe he takes less money, but $10 million per year, I would do it. In a way, you could structure it to make it work with the cap. I think you keep Rochelle as the long-term guy. You sign Gilmore for 2 years with an option for a third, maybe a team option or a player option. So it gives you that flexibility. And then, you have Rochelle. And when Gilmore's gone, Rochelle will hopefully be able to take over. So it'll be Ramsey, Rochelle, and then you'll have David Long potentially up for a contract extension. We'll see if he, amounts to that. Could be looking in the draft this upcoming season. But on the defensive side of the ball, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. I would love to bring back Sebastian Joseph Day. I like the linebackers. Maybe if you want to go get another guy, sure, for depth, but I think they're fine. They won a Super Bowl with this linebacking group, and I really like Traven Howard, extend him. I really like Ernest Jones. Troy Reeder is good for what he needs to be, So, I wouldn't mind getting another linebacker, but you don't need a starter. It's about needs at this point. And then at safety, Jordan Fuller should be ready to go by the beginning of the next season. So now at safety, you have Jordan Fuller, Terrell Burgess, Taylor Rapp, Nick Scott. Maybe you go out, you get another safety, but I feel pretty good about those four. So, Nick Scott really taking the next step really opens up a lot here, what they can do. And that's, to me, the one piece on the defense besides guys that could be extended, like, of course, you want to bring back Von Miller, you want to bring back Sebastian Joseph Day. For the most part, everyone can be coming back. But I think, Stephon Gilmore is a perfect option. I think he would fit very well. And, he has that physicality and the bigger body corner that you like to see. So I'm going to say Stephon Gilmore with Jalen Ramsey is the right move. I would go with that. If you don't care about the size, you don't care about the physicality, well, I think he's pretty physical. But if you want to just replace Darius Williams and you want to have the same type of body, you're talking 5'9", scrappy guy, DJ Reed's your guy. He might cost you a little bit more. He's cheaper. But then if you want to go with, say, you want to try and bring back Darius Williams, I'm not against it if the coaches feel like, and look, Darius Williams has an argument here. Normally guys step up in their contract season. He had a great season last year. He had a great end to 2019. He showed us what he could do in the postseason last year. So this year we could argue, hey, maybe he had a little bit of an issue getting acclimated to Raheem Morris. And a lot of that was due to the injury he suffered early on in the season. It put his, season in a tailspin, and that's what happened. If that's the case, I'm okay with bringing him back, but I think Darius Williams is definitely an option to bring back. I'm not saying he's not, but you have to keep in mind, Darius Williams is not going to be, he's not going to be able to get the big money that you once thought. So if he's trying to get that big payday, he's not going to get it in LA. If he takes a pay cut, he could be a really interesting piece. Redemption season for him, we'll see. But right now, if you're giving me the joystick right now and I'm deciding and I'm choosing between all these guys on a machine, I'm choosing Gilmore because I think Gilmore at 31 years old, you sign him to a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option like I was talking about with Nick, and I'll tell you right now, it really helps it out now. I think anybody that's going to play opposite of Jalen Ramsey is going to have an easier time, but Gilmore's already very impressive, so I like that combination. I'm with a lot of you. You guys said Gilmore before I even brought it up, and I was about to bring it up, so you beat me to it. Like a lot of this comes down to that, but And Zeno DeGoat, I totally agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I don't mind bringing back Darius, but it has to be a team-friendly deal because he didn't play up to the expectations of a massive contract after this season. Matthew, thank you so much for donating. World champs, woo. Yes, absolutely. Peep the logo right there. I got a little bit of a statue thing. I can't even point, but yeah, you can see it. So that is the defensive side. Raheem Morris coming back for year 2, which I think is firmly cemented now that he will be back for year 2, makes me very excited. He should be a head coach. Selfishly, I wanted him back because I think he's just an incredible, defensive coordinator. He made some unbelievable adjustments in the second half. Was a little conservative in the first, trying to feel out the water a little bit, and then made these adjustments in the second half that just really hurt Joe Burrow. So, to me, I really like where the defense is at. Bring back Sebastian Joseph Day if you can. They didn't really use him a lot in the Super Bowl. I don't think they really used him much at all, but bring him back if you can. I think he'd really help the run game. I know he would. And, bring back Vaughn if you can. And if you can't, I still think that there are guys like you got to give Chris Garrett an opportunity. You got to give Terrell Lewis an opportunity. These guys in-house. Maybe you bring back Okoronkwo. I'm very curious to see if they do. He's not typically the archetype that they look for. He's more of the shorter, pass rusher, but this is somebody that, he had a very good and very redeeming season. Justin Hollins especially had a good season. Then he got hurt, came back, was also very much needed. So, I really like where the defense is at, guys. And I'll say this. I say it coming into the year, in 2021, you guys asked me, does Raheem Morris replicate the number 1 defense? I said they're top 10. They have a chance to get really good as the season progresses, but they will be top 10. I don't think they'll be the number 1 defense, but they'll be strong, and I still think they're the best team. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and that's what happened. This time, however, I very much think a lot of those struggles early on in the season was the acclimation of Raheem Morris to this Brandon Staley blueprint defense. And now that he's figured out what he wants to do, and they have tightened up the defense, and they have their plan, I think the sky's the limit. And to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if this team is the number 1 defense next year and the number 1 offense. Because here's the thing. This is why I was talking dynasty. If they won the Super Bowl, they have a lot to look forward to after the fact. This offense stays together for the most part. The defense stays together for the most part. Yes, you're going to miss out. Kevin O'Connell did an incredible job as an OC, game planning, helping strategize the beginning, game scripts and things along that nature, and drawing up plays with McVay. But also now they have Thomas Brown, who you guys know I love. So Thomas Brown is likely, at least my favorite, to be the OC. We'll see what they do in promoting him. But I just think at the end of the day, this defense is going to be nasty. And you guys are saying Derwin James. I think Derwin James could be around the corner. We'll see what happens there, but I definitely think there's a chance that that's the case. I'm excited to see guys like Terrell Burgess get an opportunity later on. Really impressed with the back end of the defense. Talk about the Scotts of the world, the Traven Howards. Hopefully he starts this upcoming season. In the defensive line, Marquise Copeland, UDFA out of Cincinnati, plays very well. Michael Hoyt, Jonah Williams, and here's the thing. I'm not even mentioning one guy. Actually, 2 guys, draft picks. Ernest Brown IV, who I think is going to make a step next year to play in this defense. I think he'll play a little bit. He has been on the practice squad the entire season. And keep this in mind, folks. This is a big one. Bobby Brown III. He is a monster. He's built filthy. He is an incredible athlete. That is a guy at 21 years old. I'm very excited about his future. And so that's a guy next year that you could be seeing doing some stuff in the trenches. So you'll definitely see Bobby Brown utilized on the defense. I'm excited for those younger guys to get things going because you may have forgotten about them with everything going around. Do not forget about Bobby Brown. Do not forget about Ernest Brown IV. Do not forget about Burgess. And definitely do not forget about Chris Garrett, the 7th round pick. To me, he had such a great preseason. I think there's a chance that he could play a little bit next year. So those are guys that I'm looking at on the defense. And looking at the offensive side, here's how I'm going to look at it. Okay, you have quarterback, everything's good. You have Stafford, Wolford might be back, probably will be back, but we'll see. Practice squad players do get a ring, yes. So Wolford will probably be back. I believe he's a restricted free agent. But then you look and it's and you have Bryce Perkins, who I'm very high on as a developmental guy. So I really like that there. You have Bryce Perkins. Then you look at running backs. You have, Darrell Henderson, who I thought played better than any of the running backs in the Super Bowl. Cam Akers, who you love his long-term potential, and you think obviously he needs to work in pass pro, like I've been saying. But I think now with a full off season to not rehab injuries and focus on getting better, he has a chance to get a lot better in pass protection. So I like those two guys. I'm not guaranteeing Sony Michel will be back. I talked to Nick Hamilton, and him and I, when we were discussing it, he also covers the Chargers, and he said, I wouldn't be surprised if, Sony ended up in LA with the Chargers. And I agree. I think that definitely could, be something that happens. So we'll see in that regard. But, then at running back, they draft Jake Funk, who can help in the, the special teams area. They still have, guys like Buddy Howell. What are they going to do with him? Xavier Jones. Everyone may have forgotten about Xavier Jones. He was on IR the whole year, so he will get a Super Bowl ring. Xavier Jones, we'll see what happens with him. I was really excited for him. Didn't have a great preseason, and of course had the Achilles tear, which was really, really unfortunate. So we'll see what happens when he comes back. And then they have two guys that offer a little bit of upside as well. On the in the practice squad. Totally forgetting about the Javian Hawkins and Mekhi Sargent. There we go. So Mekhi Sargent and Javian Hawkins. So running back, to me, I'm not guaranteeing that Sony Michel is even back next year. To me, I don't think it's a guarantee at all. We will see what happens. But for me, the running backs are fine. If you feel like you have to go out and get a guy because Henderson is, a little bit of a health concern, I get it. I do. But for the most part, I would trust in your guys, and you can make that move at any given time. I'm going to bring up the running backs right now in free agency. Let's see here. Because I want to see if there's anybody. I mean, I know Sony Michel is going to get some interest for sure. You have David Johnson, Leonard Fournette, Cordarrelle Patterson, Melvin Gordon. Cordarrelle Patterson would be fun. Wouldn't that be fun, folks? Having Cordarrelle Patterson as the running back? Yeah, he's not going to be cheap, though. He's going to be like $9 million per year. Sony Michel, right now, his market value per Spotrac is $5 million per year. They have a projected contract of 2 years over $10 million. That makes sense. I don't know if the Rams will do that, but I could definitely see him getting paid that. You have Jalen Richard, who maybe might be able to help as a pass catcher out of the backfield. You have Phillip Lindsay, Raheem Mostert. This is an intriguing one because Raheem Mostert has shown you in the big stage, like he came through. I think he had 4 touchdowns in the not the Super Bowl, but in the playoffs. Raheem Mostert's somebody I'm curious about. I'm not saying I'm 100% in on him because the injuries, of course. And I could see him going to the Dolphins to be with Mike McDaniel, but that is definitely a name that I'm watching. James White's another one. How about this? Rashad Penny, who is a free agent for Seattle. You have Jeff Wilson. You have Marlon Mack, Brandon Bolden. I think Bolden would be a solid guy, can help you on special teams, can help you in the receiving game, played in some big-time games, and, is a pretty solid runner. Ronald Jones, James Conner. These names are monster. What if they bring back Malcolm Brown? He's also a free agent. And I think that stock kind of diminished a little bit as well, so keep that in mind. He might be able to be had for cheap. And then you have J.D. McKissick, who did his thing with Washington. Definitely a guy to look out for. Darrell Williams with Kansas City. Damian Williams, I thought he had some moments for Chicago. They'll definitely let him go in all likelihood. But, there are definitely some guys like Alex Collins. Jerick McKinnon is somebody. Jerick McKinnon's an interesting one. There's a lot of running backs here. Kalen Ballage, I think, would be a really nice addition to the Rams. If they let go of Sony Michel, it would make sense because there's a lot of guys here that could, like Dearness Johnson, I think, wants a bigger role. Justin Jackson from the Chargers. There's a lot of guys here, Chase Edmonds especially, Salvin Ahmad, Derek Gore, that could replace Sony Michel. So I think the running back market is pretty big this year, and because of that, I don't know how expensive a lot of these running backs are going to be because, you think about it, you can't do too much. Now, with the receivers, they're fine. And you did mention Raymond Calais. He'll get a Super Bowl ring as well. He's on IR, and he'll be back. So we'll see, with the running backs. But, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they try doing one of those I know Lance Dunbar didn't work out for the Rams, but I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Sean McVay be like, you know what, I want to get like a JD McKissick in here, or I really like the idea of getting Kalen Ballage personally because he's got that 6'3" size. He ran a 4.4. He has receiving ability. He's got to get better, obviously hands wise. I mean, he's got receiving ability, but he'll have a concentration drop here and there. Okay in pass pro, not the best. But he could break some tackles. So I think Kalen Ballage, he didn't really get a huge opportunity with the Steelers because they had Najee Harris and he was healthy the whole year pretty much. And then, when he got banged up going into the playoffs, they really used Benny Snell, who was a draft pick. So maybe that's a guy that they go to. I've always liked Ballage, and he had a really good run with the Chargers. It was quick, but it was a good one. So we'll see about that. And then wide receiver, to me, I'm not even going to look at free agency, and here's why. It's Odell Beckham Jr. I think they bring him back. They have Kupp. They have Van Jefferson. They have Robert Woods. Then you look at Tutu Atwell, who I think is, honestly, I'll say this right now, guys. Tutu Atwell in the Super Bowl would have been able to make those catches that Skoranek did. I think people get it so confused that Tutu Atwell's small and that he looks like a bust, like people have been saying, and he can't return, and he got hurt, and just yada yada. They hold that against him, but Tutu Atwell led the NFC in receptions in the preseason. I'm not saying that he's ready for the Super Bowl moment, but I'll say this, guys. He's a better receiver than people give him credit for. He's a lot better receiver than Tavon Austin was coming out of West Virginia. He's a more true route runner and will go up and high point the football, even at his 5'8", 5'9" frame. So Tutu Atwell is going to have a role next year. Ben Skoranek, I'll say this before we pile up on him. Here's the thing with Ben Skoranek. He's a rookie, and I think he was not supposed to be thrusted in this role. I mean, he was supposed to probably not see time on the field. I mean, really, when you think about it, the only time we should have seen Skoranek is when the Rams were kneeling it down in the Super Bowl. And we did. But, it's kind of like Kaderil Hodge, when he was with the Rams. We saw Skoranek because of injuries. The freak Robert Woods ACL tear. When they got Odell to go with Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Van, there was no way Skoranek was going to see the field. Don't forget, Deshaun Jackson was also on this team. So, I think he's going to be a lot better. He'll be ready for the moment next time. I'll try not to pile too much on Skoranek, and I appreciate his contributions for a 7th-round pick that was thrust into a role he probably wasn't very comfortable with. He was great on special teams. Let's give him that, and, let's give him a little bit of a break in that regard. He did upset me, but, I'm just saying. And then Jacob Harris, who, to be honest with you, if Jacob Harris was out there, and Nick and I were talking about this, the Bengals would have had no answer to stop Jacob Harris. Because look at how dominant Bryson Hopkins was, which, by the way, also brings up another point, and that's the tight end. So we'll get into this. We're going slowly through the offense. We just went through the defense. But, Bryson Hopkins, guys, I've been saying, I believed in this kid. I interviewed him at the Senior Bowl. He said that the Rams, when meeting with him, viewed him as a tandem with him and Tyler. That's kind of how I knew right off the bat that pretty much if, as long as what he said was true and when they drafted him, it kind of made sense. I felt like Gerald was out. I didn't feel like Gerald Everett was going to be back. So, for that reason, I know that they had high expectations for him, and they got my number one tight end in 2020 in the 4th round. And he was a healthy scratch, but when his best was required, that's when his best came through. And this guy, with his route running, man, he looked really good against the Bengals. So, to me, I feel like that's somebody that we're going to have to keep watching for. We'll see what the Rams do moving forward. He has to get more reps. It's simple as that. But he definitely stepped up. And I felt like because of that, how well he played, I think Jacob Harris, they would have had no answer for. So, I think they really missed a guy like Jacob Harris and Tutu Atwell. Thank you for the 5, Matthew. Really appreciate your donation. That's just my opinion there. I really do think that is the case. And, what is that?
It's a package that was left for you.
Interesting.
I figured if it was a jersey, then opening it on stream would be pretty cool.
But I don't know what it is.
It's yours.
Yeah, you can just leave it there. Thanks. This is my brother. I don't. So yeah, my point is that, Jacob Harris and Tutu Atwell, I think they could have been used in the Super Bowl, but they're not gone, guys. And I think this is important to realize is that, with Ben Skoranek, Had he played really, really well in the Super Bowl, you could have argued, okay, maybe we don't have any use for Tutu Atwell and Jacob Harris next year, and maybe they they fall out of favor. That's not going to be the case. I think, no one's separated, and so for that reason, I think there's going to be a lot of receivers. I see Carmine is saying Brandon Powell, Brandon Powell, Brandon Powell. You know me, I would love to see him being used more, but they have a return guy, so that we can definitely say that. But the receivers, no. They're going to bring back Odell, I think, and they're going to have a lot of talent in that receiver room. And keep in mind, you have a guy like Robert Woods, and you have a guy like Cooper Kupp. To me, I just think it's so invaluable what it's like to have those veterans and the minds that they possess and how well they understand the game and what they've gone through, both now tearing ACLs. They can be an incredible inspiration, and they can be incredibly important for the development. Furthermore, with Eric Yarber, how great of a receiver coach he is, they can be so important to the development of a young receiver like Tutu Atwell and Jacob Harris, who are both going through injuries that ended their season. Jacob Harris literally tore his ACL, so I'm very excited for them moving forward. I'm not going to say that they're going to go off, but I definitely think they'll have roles next year, and they're not guys that you want to sleep on. So we checked the box off there. The receivers are good. The quarterback's good. The running backs are fine. I think they might get another running back. If I had to throw any name in the hat there, I would be very, very interested to see if they went after Kalen Ballage or J.D. McKissick. They're two different guys, but I'd be very interested to see if they went after either of them. Moving on to the tight ends, though, we talked a little bit about Bryson Hopkins already. He's not going anywhere. There were people that had him getting cut before the season. He's not going anywhere. He came through, 4 catches, 47 yards in the Super Bowl when needed. Kendall Blanton, you find out that the Rams are better than we actually realized, because Kendall Blanton comes through for over 60 yards in a game where they needed it against the 49ers to get them to the Super Bowl. So that's 2 guys, and neither of which are the starters, neither of which were even the first or second stringers, or the third stringers for that matter, because Jacob Harris was ahead of them on the depth chart. So now you include Jacob Harris, playing the wide receiver tight end hybrid. You have both of those guys, and then you're talking about potentially bringing back Johnny Munt, who's a really good blocker, but he's coming off his second or third ACL tear, or maybe even his fourth. I think he tore it twice actually, and then it's third. So he's coming off a third ACL tear. So who knows where he'll be, but if he wants to come back, I think he'll have a home here, because I don't think it's going to be too expensive to afford him. And then on top of that, Tyler Higbee, who you have to feel great about. Yes, he has a sprained MCL. He'll be ready to go for the start of the season. And he played well this year, guys, and he's really made strides after being labeled as this baby Gronk that can't block. All of a sudden, this guy has really turned himself around, and he's become a very well-rounded receiver, not just a receiving threat, but on top of it, what he can do in the trenches as a tight end and blocking. And I think he's improved enough where you can feel confident in him making an impact when he's in. So to me, you look at the tight ends, I feel good about the tight ends. The guys on the practice squad, Kyle Markway and Jared Pinkney, I don't know too much about, and I don't think that they're really going to be able to carve out a role with the guys in front of them. But I feel really good about the tight ends, man. And it was very heartwarming to see a guy like Bryson Hopkins, who caught 1 pass in his career. He's had a tough rookie season in 2020. He had a tough, second year where maybe he thought he was going to be more featured, and he really wasn't. It just had to have been hard, but he kept buying into the culture. He didn't make it about himself. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for a trade. He didn't ask to be cut, any of that. He just kept his head down. He continued to work. He continued to thrive. And then, of course, when they needed him and his number was called, number 88 came through in a big way in the Super Bowl. And that's a reason, not the main reason, but he is one of the reasons why they were able to win Super Bowl 56. Make no mistake about it. So you have to feel good about the tight ends, the receivers, the running backs. They could add another one, the quarterback, and now the offensive line. Because the offensive line, Andrew Whitworth, I think, retires. And I've said, guys, I think they're going to have over $60 million in cap. I think a lot of that, the pathway there is with Whitworth retiring. Now, would I like to see Whitworth come back to an extent? Yes. But would I like to see him go out on top? with a Walter Payton Man of the Year award for the second time, I believe, in his career, wearing that patch. I think he might have been the only one to wear the patch and win the Super Bowl with the patch on. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but that was really cool. Winning a Super Bowl against the team that basically said that they were done with him, let him go. They drafted him, but they kind of gave up on him. And then on top of it, winning a Super Bowl against a team that let you go when they could have used you in this game, and they might have won the game had you been on their team, because the big reason why they lost was, offensive line. So I don't know. To me, Whitworth probably should retire because this is as good of a story as it gets. But if he wants to continue, I understand it, because this Rams team is really, really good. And, I think that you have to be thinking maybe if it's not retirement, it's ring number 2, and I think that's the thing a lot of these guys are going to go through, So when the Rams, when they win like this, any team wins like this, it's let's run it back and let's do it again. And there's a lot of offseason preparation, hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that go into everything. The guys that really earn it are the guys that end up coming away with it. So we'll see, but I'm going to say that Whitworth does retire. I think Noteboom, the plan all along. I mean, he went way past where you would have expected. He won that ring. Really happy for him. But Noteboom is going to get his opportunity. I think Noteboom's play against the Buccaneers and pretty much any game he has had to come in and be the left tackle, he has been absolutely superb. He's exactly what you want. And we realized the Rams were a little bit better than we thought when they put in Alaric Jackson, the UDFA out of Iowa. This guy comes in, and he was just so good. And when they needed him, he was so good when they needed him to be good. And that's the thing. You have him. You have Noteboom that can play the left tackle position. We'll see with Tremaine Ankrum. It looks like he may have taken a step back this year. Could have been because of the fact he was on the COVID list and he got hurt. It could have been a lot of that. So we'll see. But I think the Rams are going to sign Noteboom to a long-term deal. He'll be the left tackle of the future. Left guard is David Edwards for now. I would not rule out them upgrading that. Center is nobody for now because Coleman Shelton is a restricted free agent and Brian Allen is a UFA, which means that he's not restricted. Have to figure that one out. And then right guard, you have a free agent, Austin Corbett, who you traded for. Brilliant trade by Les Snead, going out and getting, another person's trash is another person's treasure, literally personified. But going out and getting him from the Browns. And then right tackle Havenstein, who, to me, you have to feel good about Havenstein. Signed, to this team long-term. He's played so well. He wasn't amazing in the Super Bowl, but he was really good in the postseason in general. To me, Coleman Shelton's coming back. And now this is where it gets interesting, because the Rams have a chance to stay complacent. And I'm not saying this in a horrible way. Like, I don't... Complacent kind of comes off as, like, you're lazy or whatever, and, like, okay, like, good luck sucking. That's not what I mean by that. They can run it back. They can run it back with their offensive line, and they can do this again. Or they can learn from the mistakes that Tampa made in their run to defend their Super Bowl title. They can learn from it and be like, hey, you know what? It would be a nice story if we brought everyone back and won with all 22 that we had the year before. But it'd also be a nicer story to actually win. And that's the thing. It's really hard to run it back with the same team. And to me, the Rams, you go out and you get Gilmore for the defense. And then the offense, you go out and you get, let's just call it like it is right now with the centers. All these guys are better options than Brian Allen. I'm not saying it's not close, because I think Brian Allen at times has been really good. And he's a Pro Bowl alternate, so he deserves credit. I think he was good this year, but he did wear down as the season went on. Ryan Jensen, to me, at 31 years old, is somebody I'm looking at. Mean streak, sets the tone. This is a guy that can help you in the run game, solid in the pass protection game. He just adds a little bit of a juice that Brian Allen doesn't have. He doesn't get pushed around. He pushes people around. Ryan Jensen, I don't think, is going to come back to Tampa. He's an unrestricted free agent. And to me, I feel like if I was going to pay either Brian Allen or Ryan Jensen the same money, even though Brian Allen is a lot younger, I'd pay Ryan Jensen $10 million to come be the center for the LA Rams. He's age 30 right now. He'll be 31 before the season starts, but I would pay him until he's, and here's the thing, the Rams they'll do something in a way that makes it where, okay, he's getting paid $10 million a year, but on the books it doesn't look like $10 million a year, and it gives them flexibility. So that to me is where I'm looking at. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. I feel like there is a pathway to upgrading the offensive line tenfold, and I feel like he's a big reason. So Ryan Jensen, love that, right? Matt Paradis, a little bit of an injury history, okay? He is 32, but I do like Matt Paradis. He's somebody that I would definitely look at. I've looked at him in the past. I don't think he'll come back to Carolina. Who knows? Maybe he does. But yeah, he is 32. Then you have Jason Kelce, who's 34. To me, he just got paid $9 million. It would be a one-year deal. He would take a cheap deal to come to the Rams if he wanted to do it. Jason Kelce can still play, man. He can still play. Would be a massive name, and try to win a ring before he retires. You have Ben Jones, pretty solid center for Titans. He's 32, though. Justin Britt, I'm not a big fan of Justin Britt on Houston. I think he's pretty average. I would definitely rather go with Brian Allen. Ted Karras for New England. Maybe not the sexiest name, but Ted Karras at 28 years old for New England might honestly be a damn good signing, a kind of a gem signing at center. Then you have Nick Martin on Vegas at 28 years old. I'm not a huge fan of him. I like the other guys a little bit more. So then after that, really looking through it, Coleman Shelton is restricted free agent. He'll be back. Brian Allen, that's the thing. And then I think one more guy that would be very intriguing at 27 years old, but I think he's going to get paid big time, is Bradley Bozeman, the former center for Alabama Crimson Tide, comes over to Baltimore. He's really improved. He's really developed. He's a 4-year guy. They're looking at a market value of around $10 million. Same thing with Jensen. If I get Jensen or Bozeman, I guess Bozeman for the long term, but Jensen and Bozeman are going to give you that mean streak, that tone setter in the middle that I don't feel like the Rams have had. To me, if I can make it work, I'd go Gilmore and I'd go out and get Jensen. But I'll say this right now, I think it's a very intriguing option to go after, a guy like Ted Karras. And remember that name. A guy like Ted Karras from the Patriots, I think would be a nice one. He did take over for David Andrews when he got hurt, so I think that would be a good one. And then the guards here, and there's a lot of guard options. I know you guys know the big one that we're talking about, Brandon Scherf, making $18 million last year. I just don't think he's a very realistic option. I don't know if the Rams could afford him, but if he were to go to anywhere, I think he'd want to go play with Sean McVay. Andrew Norwell made $13 million last year, 30 years old. I feel like his play has kind of fallen off a little bit with Jacksonville. Not sure if I would pay him that. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, I don't know about that one. Alex Lewis, no. Laken Tomlinson, I mean, it would hurt the 49ers, but he's 30 years old. I'm not necessarily all over Laken Tomlinson there, personally. So then you look and, Trey Turner, I don't think played well at all for Pittsburgh. There's just, there's not a ton of guys. I mean, unless you want to bring Richie Incognito back, for, one season, he's 38. There's some young guys. So if you can develop Will Hernandez with Coach Carbs, maybe that makes sense. Hernandez was a bust in New York, but I loved him coming out of, I believe it was UTEP. He's 26. He could be cheap. James Daniels is a very intriguing one. If Chicago lets him go, James Daniels at 24 years old, but might cost you something. Connor Williams at 24. If Dallas doesn't bring him back, might cost you something. Corbett's 26. So, I could totally see the Rams bringing back Corbett or going after one of those guys instead of bringing back Corbett. Alex Kappa of Tampa. I mean, what if they just go out and they're like, we're going to get Kappa and we're going to get, Ryan Jensen. I don't know if the Rams are going to use free agency as much as I would, as much as I would like them to, as much as you would like them to, but it would be cool. And I do feel like they're there's a reason why that they should go after certain guys like that, because you want to upgrade. You see this was good enough for this year, but don't be stubborn and assume that everything that was good enough for this year will be good enough for next year. That's what I'll say there. I think the interior offensive line, we learned that they are a little bit limited. They got pushed around. The Rams couldn't run the football. If you're playing that Super Bowl against the Bills, you're not winning the Super Bowl not being able to run the football like that. You're just not. It's going to be wicked hard. So it's time for Stafford to have a top 10 rushing attack like Jared Goff had in 2020. It's time for them to go out and get some veterans, keep him upright, stop the interior pressure from taking out his legs, and that's that. So, and this isn't really much of a draft, live stream, because I haven't gone into the draft prospects yet. We'll be interviewing 2 tonight, but, as far as really diving into, not live, by the way, it's going to be pre-recorded, so I just wanted to let you know that. For the Downtown Rams podcast, Alexis and I will be interviewing a bunch of draft prospects, but as of right now, I haven't gotten deep into, the research and the scouting, so I'll let you know, but no, McVay's not gone. No, they're not firing Raheem Morris. Vic Fangio, I would rather have Raheem Morris. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Donald's not retiring. Sean McVay's not leaving. The only one that has a chance of retiring is Whitworth. That's it. Well, Dr. Dingus, that's what I was saying. I really think that they make the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be Rams-Broncos if Rodgers goes to Denver with Adams. And I think if Rodgers goes to Denver with Adams, then them being in the Super Bowl, Von is going to be on one of the Super Bowl teams. I think Von Miller is going to be back in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think OBJ will be back. What's up, Brandon? Everyone be sure to hit the like. Give me a thumbs up on this. Why fire Raheem? They just won a Super Bowl with his defense. I mean, you're kidding, right? Like it's a joke? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume it is, but man. I mean, we're obviously love winning the Super Bowl and everything, and we celebrated that. But I mean, I got to make content. I got to talk about the things that are on my mind, and to me, this is what it's all about. You have to defend. You have to defend your title, and I feel like the Rams is the reigning Super Bowl champions. I think that they have a chance to defend it. I do think they'll win the Super Bowl this upcoming season because I trust this coaching staff. I trust Matthew Stafford with Sean McVay. I think they'll be healthier. And I love the fact that Raheem Morris is coming back once again to be the defensive coordinator. I think that helps a lot, but, Okay, Matt, it is sarcasm. Okay. Well, it's sad that, I have to ask you that because there's people that are literally saying, fire Raheem Morris. You're not firing the defensive coordinator after he made all those adjustments and helped you win the Super Bowl 56. It's just, no, that's not happening. So, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely find out soon with everything going on. We'll see, but right now, in case you missed the earlier portion of this live stream, I basically think the Rams should go out and get a guy like Stephon Gilmore instead of bringing back Darius Williams. If they can bring back Darius Williams, I'm not going to complain as long as it's a team-friendly deal, okay? But they need to go out, and I think they need to be diligent in realizing that they have a power here that no other team has. They've won the Super Bowl, they're in LA, and they have a winning culture that's going to last a long time. And to me, I feel as though that, people are going to want to play here. Simple as that. I think coaches are going to want to come here. I think people are going to want to play here. And I think the Rams will be able to get some hometown discounts and things along that nature to keep this thing going. I think this is the next dynasty if they play their cards right. It's that simple. But I don't think it's the next dynasty if they get complacent and they're like, okay, well, we'll bring back Brian Allen. We'll bring back this guy. We'll bring back that guy. I don't want to see it all run back. I want to see the core players brought back. And if you can upgrade the interior, It's not that I'm trying to hurt anyone's feelings. It's not that I'm trying to trash Brandon Allen. I appreciate his contributions. Or I keep saying Brandon Allen, Brian Allen. I appreciate the contributions of Brian Allen, and I like David Edwards. But the fact of the matter is this: I'm more worried about keeping Stafford as healthy as can be so he can quarterback the next 5 years if need be. I don't want him to sit there in the pocket and keep getting hit in the legs. I keep seeing that. He keeps getting rolled up on. The offensive line plays well, but you gotta be able to come through. And, I was really turned off by the Super Bowl performance. They got worn down, bigger defensive tackles and bigger defensive lines and things along that nature bully the interior. And I know people, what you're thinking, Creed Humphrey, yada, yada. That didn't happen. They can rectify that. To me, going out and getting either Ryan Jensen or a Bradley Bozeman or somebody that's a tone setter in the middle, or getting a Ted Karras who you can get for cheaper. Maybe not the tone setter, but I think he's just an all-around better player than Brian Allen. That's where I'm going with that. And then at guard, you're pretty limited in that realm, but you definitely want to make sure you bring back Corbett. So that's what I'll say about that. So, I really like the idea of getting Jensen and Gilmore. We'll see what happens. And with the draft, like I said, there's going to be more coverage moving forward. But for now, I got to be able to take some time and do some research. And, the hope is when I get my laptop, because this thing is very fast. It's a lot faster than what I have right now. And what I have right now is good. But when I get this laptop, man, I'm hoping I'm going to do a video of every prospect that I can do. That's the plan. We'll see. Hopefully Exos doesn't, copyright claim my shit, but that's probably what'll happen. I'll just have to deal with it. But I appreciate you guys supporting the channel as always. Appreciate you guys following my coverage. We're not stopping. So, if you were thinking that I was going to take this giant break, I took a day off from making video content, and that's it. So we're going to continue riding through. Rams are Super Bowl champions, yes, but we got plenty of other stuff to talk about. And yes, we can definitely enjoy it. I hope everyone that goes to the Super Bowl parade tomorrow is first off, they stay safe and they enjoy themselves. Don't end up on the news in a bad way. If somebody asks, to interview you, great. Talk about how great your time is, but I don't want to see any of you on the news. I don't want to see anybody making a bad name of the Rams fan base. Go out there, support the team, enjoy yourself. But just be diligent and be respectful and don't be inconsiderate of the rest of the fan base. Don't make us all look bad because you made a bad decision. So, that's what I'll say there. But hey, guys, it's been awesome. And I'm really excited to be able to do a video like this. When I have something on my mind, I have these ideas. It's really cool to be able to just hop on here and just throw them at you. And, I truly believe in what I'm saying. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying it. So it's cool that you guys definitely like it. But yeah, the Rams are world champions. Keep enjoying it. There's no time limit for how long you can enjoy this really during the off season. That's one thing that people don't know. But I'm gonna have another video. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about the myths and the false narratives and things like that of Matthew Stafford, and I'm gonna explain why Matthew Stafford is closer to becoming the greatest quarterback in Rams history. He's closer to becoming a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's the most clutch quarterback in the NFL, and it's not close moving forward. So I'm going to be talking about that probably about tomorrow. We'll do a stream, but there's plenty to come on this channel. I'm really excited for the future of it, and hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to hit the thumbs up before you head on out of here. It really helps me out, and that's going to do it. So I might be live a little bit later. We're going to get those gaming streams going, but not until I have that laptop. I want it to look really nice. I don't want to have any sort of frame lag or anything like that. So we're going to work on getting those out as well. But again, really appreciate everyone following the channel. If you're on the Downtown Rams Facebook, I appreciate you. If you're the Lone Wolf on Twitch, appreciate you too. You can all go follow my Twitch at JK Bogan NFL. Actually, I think it's JK Bogan 15 now. So JK Bogan 15. Check that out on Twitch. I'm on there as well. But that's going to do it. Go check out for more info on Downtown Rams. Check out our podcast and check out downtownrams.com. Love y'all, and you be good people. I'll see you guys soon. Go Rams.